This is the really the first quarter market update for Washtenaw County, and we're looking also a little bit forward in the first couple weeks of April as well to see how the market is going, and specifically looking at March and the first part of April. Activity is following what we've seen January, February, and actually the fourth quarter of 2015, in that inventories are still scarce. They're tight across the board, particularly under $250,000 across Washtenaw. But they're still tight across all price ranges, actually. And we're surprised to see sales actually pick up even more so in March, because we really thought that we were borrowing a little bit of spring business in January, February, and into March, because the winters were so tough the prior 2 years that we thought this year wouldn't quite see that explosion of activity we saw the prior 2 years when the weather became mild and moved into spring. So, but we've been surprised at activity. So that tells us that there probably is still a little bit of pent-up demand in the marketplace. Washtenaw County still, looking across the state, still seems to be the hottest market in the state. And certainly Ann Arbor itself seems to be probably the hottest market right now as well in terms of activity and for buyers, unfortunately, scarcity of inventory. If you look at the price ranges across the market where things are going, in the under 250, you see exactly what you're supposed to see. Values are rising because inventories are falling. In the 250 to 500, you see more of a flat in values and flat in inventories. Values are rising maybe 2 or 3%. Inventories are rising about the same. So it's more of a neutral market, but still leaning clearly towards the seller side of things. In the over $500,000 market for Washtenaw, actually sort of a strange thing in that inventories are rising dramatically, but values also jumped quite a bit in the first quarter, almost 10%. And I think a lot of that is because the market there for over $500,000 is pretty thin. There aren't that many transactions. So it doesn't take more than a couple transactions with a very high price per square foot that would throw the numbers off. So we're not sure that that 10% is really that representative of what's really going on in the market. If you take out the mix of houses that were sold in the first quarter, we think that appreciation rate for the upper end is probably closer to 3 or 4% or less. So, and we do think that if inventories continue to rise in the upper end as they have been for the last 6 months, that values will settle and might even slide down a little bit. We've seen that in other parts of the metro area, specifically Birmingham, Bloomfield. In Oakland County, we've seen upper end values slide as inventories have risen. So we would expect to probably see the same in Washtenaw as well. In general, what we're seeing is, regardless of price range, the first 30 days, and particularly the first 10 days of properties on the market, the activity level is very intense. If you look at the number of buyers or listings per buyer in those price ranges, you see they're almost identical the first 10 days or first 30 days, meaning there are just as many buyers chasing a $850,000 listing as a $250,000 listing in Washtenaw. But as soon as you move towards 60 days or particularly 90 days, the buyer activity dramatically changes, because 84% of all sales in Washtenaw County, those properties were on the market less than 90 days, and 50% of the sales less than 30 days. So if you're a seller and your home's been on the market more than, say, even 30 days, in some cases even 10 days, and you're not getting a lot of activity, it means you got to look at pricing, look at your positioning in the market, and make some adjustments. Certainly over 90 days that would be the case. But in general for Washtenaw, you have clearly, for under $250,000, and for the city of Ann Arbor, you clearly have a seller's market. $250,000 to $500,000 market, it is seller's market leaning to neutral. And over $500,000, you have a neutral market sliding a little bit as we think through the year towards a buyer's market. But all that said, it still is a wonderful market for Washtenaw. Buyer activity is rising, and we think it's going to be a strong real estate year. Thanks.